What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to After the Snap. It's me. I'm Tasha Pierce. And nope, I don't have a green screen yet. So my arms disappear. My hat might disappear. My hat is even disappearing. I might have to make some different fashion decisions until I'm able to get that green screen when I get a YouTube paycheck, which might be this month, might be next month. You got to have $100 banked before they will let you cash it out. So apparently I don't have $100. What's up though? What's up, everyone? Hey there, Justin. Christopher was here. He was first, and it looks like Justin has taken over. I am so glad to be back. We took last week off for Mother's Day, had an outstanding Mother's Day with the family, and I hope if you are a mother, I hope you enjoyed Mother's Day. If you have a mother, I hope you spoiled her. I really and truly do. Hey, Norman, glad you could be here. You're here early and everything, too. Thanks for being here. So, since you were here, do me a great big old favor, y'all. Hit the like button. And if you haven't yet done so, subscribe. I'm almost 100% sure that the people here now have already subscribed. But if not, I'm rolling out the red carpet. Subscribe to the channel. And please hit the like button so people will find this stream. We got a lot of stuff. I guess it seems like a lot of stuff because we didn't talk last week. But this week, I guess because I've got a whole lot of interactive things going on, it seems like there's a lot of stuff. So I am excited this week to put some things out for us. But first and foremost, y'all remember I'm going to be at Comic Palooza here in Houston, Texas this week, Friday. So it'll be me, our friend Clarence, and the co-host of his show, another friend of the show, Jonathan Shorts. So Clarence, hey, Tom, it's been a long time, sir. Glad you're here. So yeah, Clarence, John, and myself will be presenting a panel at Comic Palooza. It will be at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. If you are in the Houston area and already planning on going to Comic Palooza, come on down. If you're in the Houston area and you're not going to Comic Palooza, but you want to meet up for lunch, something like that, or maybe lunch meetup or something like that, let me know. There is our hotline number, and I will be putting that up momentarily. Take that number down and let me know if you guys are in the area and you want to meet up for lunch. But the panel that we'll be talking about at Comic Palooza will be Star Trek Character Evolution, A Journey Through Time. We are going to talk about some of our favorite characters and how they changed over a period of time. Star Trek has been around long enough for us to be introduced to some characters and to just watch them do a whole 180 by the time that character's arc has ended. So we're gonna talk about a few of those, and some of them you wouldn't even think of. Like one, for instance, Kira Nerys from Deep Space Nine. How different of a character was she by the end of Deep Space Nine than the person we met in the first episode, the emissary? Lots and lots of discuss there, and we're gonna have a short amount of time to do it. Hopefully I'm able to record those sessions or that session so that we can share it on our members only and or patron as a bonus content. So yeah, so that is going to be fun, and I hope you guys remember to again reach out and let us know you're thinking about us during that period of time. Now we got some other news. We put up a poll last week, and it was like, name that segment. So I wanted to name the segment. I was trying out this question of the week thing for Engage Live. I wanted to get you guys to chime in using that segment, quote unquote. And so to make the show even more interactive, hey there, Clarence. Glad to see you, sir. We were just talking about you, how you're going to hang out with me for Comic Palooza. But anywho, so we got a response. We got a response. I guess I'm gonna have to turn my phone off right now because you know how the phone won't ring all day long, or nobody is thinking about me until I'm doing something else, and then it's like, you know what? Let me call Tasha. No, no, that's not how things go. It's 4 o'clock on Sunday. Y'all already know what it is. So anywho, we had this poll going, and so I guess I'm going to have to give you the results of the poll. Now there were 3 choices: Trek Perspective, Trek Talks, and the Prime Perspective, and the winner was overwhelmingly the Prime Perspective by 56%. So that is what we'll be calling this segment, the Prime Perspective. And our first Prime Perspective subject is going to be, should Star Trek use CGI to bring back beloved characters? People are feeling strongly about that subject. There is a number for you to leave a voicemail. The Subspace Relays are 832-422-6756, or you can send a Subspace transmission to trekprimeperspective@gmail.com. The number and the email address are right there on the screen. I'll put it back up periodically, so you guys, if you want to use that, I don't know what I'm supposed to be saying 3 times real fast. I'm pretty sure I'd suck at it though. So the Trek Prime Perspective at gmail.com. Leave your thoughts there. I do have a couple of thoughts that came to me through YouTube as YouTube comments that I will share during our presentation at some point there. Let me see. Now, what else was the oh, you know what we didn't talk about here together because I was off. I did put up a video last week because we did get a little bit of rumor, gossip maybe, that Harry Kim may possibly, potentially, allegedly will be joining the cast of Star Trek Prodigy. And I put out a little video that was talking about the implications, what that could mean. Tell me, you guys, what you think. What would you think of Harry Kim being the first Voyager character besides the ones that we already have? So besides Janeway, besides Chakotay, how would you feel about the next character being Harry Kim? Let me know in the comments. And if we bring in Harry, do we need to bring in everybody else? Let me know in the comments. This could very well proper be a Voyager sequel, and I'm here for it. So let me know. I'm very interested in what you guys are thinking about the Harry Kim situation, Prodigy situation for season 2. Doody. Another thing that came out last week was a sneak peek. What happened was, and I forgot the name, was it Crave in Canada? They put out a little teaser for Strange New Worlds. And in that teaser, there was like a 1-second blink and you miss it clip of Mariner and Boimler in live action. And a lot of people did not blink and miss that. A lot of people caught on to that. And that was what it ignited the fandom. Everybody was so excited. And by everybody, I mean me. I was very excited too. I was more excited than I thought I would be. While I'm looking forward to Strange New Worlds, and I am also looking forward to seeing how they make those two things match, Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks. I am very excited, it seems, for this episode. And I was geeked. Now, I have manipulated this episode. I mean, this photo, this is not the way it originally looked, but I wanted to get all the characters on there. So, anywho, you see a Mariner, and as as Clara said, big hair don't care. You also see Boimler. Again, it's not the best look at him, but there they are in the flesh. Okay. Norman is coming up with a very good point that Neelix should be the next character that we see in Star Trek Prodigy because he is in the Delta Quadrant. That would make sense. But then are the kids still in the Delta Quadrant? It looks like that didn't they make it to Starfleet? Is that ship is where Janeway and that other Voyager ship that they unveiled, was that all in the Delta Quadrant? You guys let me know. Hey, Chris. Chris wants to know, how do people know that that's the characters from Lower Decks? Because those are the actors that play them. Now, we had already been told that they would be making the appearance. We were also told that they would be played by Tawny Newsome would be playing Mariner, and Jack Quaid would be playing Boimler. And this is clearly Jack Quaid and Tawny Newsome. So I don't think that that's too hard to figure out that those two are them. Now, it could be, I don't know, they could have wanted us to talk about this. So they released it to kind of give us something to talk about until Star Trek Strange New Worlds comes on in June. Because we are still hearing a lot of buzz about Star Trek Picard, especially since it entered the Nielsen ratings top 10 again. So it was in the Nielsen ratings top 10 and it fell out. And now it has re-entered, which is showing that there is a sustained interest in Star Trek Picard. Hopefully that means that it will translate into a sustained interest in Star Trek period, where people will still have that itch that needs to be scratched in June when we get Star Trek Strange New Worlds coming out. A lot of it is the Terry Matalas stuff. Terry Matalas, look, he played the game very well with those people who are on the fringes of the fandom who were doing an awful lot of complaining over the years and they never had anything good to say about the newer Trek series. Terry Matalas did a fantastic job in getting them ingratiated into him. Now, again, there's something about Terry Matalas. I can't put my finger on it. I'm not saying I dislike this man. I'm saying that there is something about him that's rubbing me. Could be it could be that tactic that he used, but it wasn't a dumb tactic and it wasn't a malicious tactic. It was very smart to give a lot of access to the people who were speaking the worst about the franchise. But it's just something about him that's rubbing me. Let me see. Clarence has said word of mouth on Picard. People have heard everybody else talking about it, and FOMO, they don't want to miss out, so they are watching it as well. Justice says, I would enjoy Harry returning, and I would love Tom to show up. And I'm glad they're using the voice actors for the crossovers. I'm agreeing with all of it. I want to see all of the Star Trek Voyager characters that we can get. Now, there has been that little bit of can they or can't they or will they or won't they with 7 of 9. But B'Elanna, we should see her. We should see the Doctor, especially when we can they're in their animated form. We should see these characters, and I am looking forward to it. And hopefully that if this crossover goes well with Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks, hopefully we can see more crossovers from animated to live action. Thomas says, not to change the subject, but did you hear about Star Trek Resurgence video game releasing on May 23rd on Xbox and PlayStation? I have heard of that. And I've also saw that there will be somebody's channel. I'm going to have to look it up because I don't remember. Somebody's channel is going to be doing a live gameplay. So for those people who are interested in seeing how that game is played, I saw where somebody is hosting a live gameplay for let me see if that was on trekmovie.com. I'm going to look it up because yeah, you know I'm not a gamer, but I know a lot of you are. And for those of you who are, hopefully you play the game and let me know, if it's something that I might like. I'm not a gamer though. I ain't gonna lie to you. We also saw a lot of the Star Trek actors joining the picket line for the writer strike. So there is that as well. Let me see. Trek Core. Let me see. I saw it somewhere. I can't remember where I saw it. If I can't find it here, I'm going to move on. But thank you for bringing that up, Thomas, because it is, yeah. No, but I can't find who it was. If I find who it was, it will be under the community tab on my channel. So make sure you're subscribed and you're checking that community tab. Every now and then I put something there. Clarence says, Clarence is planning on live streaming it. If any of you guys are, send me a link. I'd love to watch. Clarence is, if you're going to live stream it as well, we sending people your way, sir. So you let me know the logistics of that, and I'm going to send everybody that I know your way, and I'll be watching you play it. So yes. What else before? Okay, and then I got a stupid question that I want to ask. It's not stupid. I want to call this Beyond the Holodeck. Just something ridiculous that I found on online, and crazy questions, Star Trek related or sci-fi related. I'm going to ask Beyond the Holodeck questions. This week's Beyond the Holodeck question was found on Reddit, and it is the Starfleet drug test. This person says they got an interview with a recruiter coming up, but seriously, was this topic ever covered in any part of the franchise? Now, you guys let me know your thoughts before I start chiming in my thoughts. But yeah, I want to hear it. I want to hear what you guys have to say. We'll even piggyback and go one step further off of no application 3861. He or she asked the question, does Starfleet drug test? My change to the question will be, should Starfleet drug test? Okay, Thomas says legacy characters will be showing up in that game too, like Riker. Yes, I saw that he will be voicing his character in there in Star Trek Resurgence. So again, looking forward to seeing how you guys feel about Star Trek Resurgence, because I'm not a gamer. Okay, Clarence says, I'm going to say no. The closest example of an addict is Raffi. I'm going to wait. Let's see if anybody else has anything to say about Beyond the Holodeck question, or the Beyond the Holodeck topic for today. And if we don't get anybody else to chime in, I'm going to put my little 2 cents in, and then we will move on to what we was really supposed to be talking about today, which is, should we be excited or should we get behind Star Trek using technology to bring back our legacy characters? Or is that a prospect that we should be wary of? Okay, so I don't see any other answers coming in. Let me see. So for Stream Elements, reminding me to tell you all to hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you for the reminder, Stream Elements. David says, he's late, but not too late. You're not late. We're really just getting started. Justin says, I thought Rafi kind of said her conspiracy theories and drug use led to her being pushed out of Starfleet. Yes. Norman says, trials and tribulations can only happen once. Oh, as far as the crossovers. Clarence says, we've heard of folks getting kicked out of Starfleet for various reasons. And Justin says, I would have to rewatch. Now, here's my my 2 cents on that. Do we know whether or not Starfleet drug tests? No. And many people would assume they do not, because of the society that they're in, that they would implicitly trust their officers until, a situation came up. Question then turns to, should they drug test their officers? And to me, I think they should, because there are agents that can be introduced, and they can be introduced without someone's knowledge. For instance, remember the one, and I don't ask me the name of this episode, when Wesley and girl cadet had a game. Well, they didn't play the game. As a matter of fact, Riker was the one who brought the game from Risa and introduced the game to everybody on the on Enterprise, and everybody got addicted to this game because it was introducing, or it was causing, a chemical reaction in their brains. If Starfleet periodically would have randoms, if Starfleet would periodically have randoms, stuff like that would not be able to happen. Norman, you said for our CGI characters, trials and tribulations can only happen once. I got it. T'Pol was strung out as well on Trillium D. Exactly. Now this was before we got into, having the Federation and all this stuff, and she wasn't under their purview. For, I guess she was more on the Vulcan side of things. But if there were randoms, then she would not have been able, or she would not have had to struggle with that for while she did. Clarence says, maybe it falls under their normal physical and mental evaluations. Yeah, we never do hear about it. That's something to think about. The episode was literally called The Game. The episode was literally called The Game. Thank you, Norman. But that episode, to me, it just spoke volumes to, if they don't have drug tests, maybe they should. Maybe they should. So yeah, that was a good Beyond the Holodeck question. If you guys can think of a Beyond the Holodeck question during the week, send it to me. I'll be choosing some of the better ones. You know what? At some point, every Beyond the Holodeck question will be introduced into an Engage Live. So if you guys have a great Beyond the Holodeck question, send it on in to, again, I gotta find the slide with our email on it. Send it in though to our Subspace Relays, and of course I left the phone. I did the one with the phone number. Send it to that. I will take these questions, make a slide up, and we will answer the question together. Justice says, I would believe they would drug test on a yearly fit testing, and then when they join up. And if a ship is lost or a crewman is lost, I don't think random though. Don't think it should be random, but you do think that there should be some kind of testing. I can agree with that too. Randomly, we plus, and first and foremost, because it is Star Trek, their drug testing doesn't have to be as invasive as the stuff that we kind of go through. I still think that they should be alerted that they are being tested, but their tests don't have to be like a nurse standing outside the bathroom door waiting to see if you pull a bag from somewhere besides using the bathroom in this cup. So yeah. Hey, Win Grace. So yeah, good answers, good thoughts. And now we're going to start talking about these CGI characters. Now, I posed the question first and foremost about these CGI characters and whether or not we should see them be used a little bit more. I posed that question as the prime perspective question of the week. I got a couple of answers. And speaking of Win Grace, who just joined us, we got Win Grace's answer. His answer was, I think it could and should be used very sparingly and for certain occasions. If an actor happens to die before filming any form of conclusion, then this could work. Also, potentially for some very special episodes like Trials and Tribulations on DS9, cases like Majo as the voice of the computer would work well. But she was on board with the idea before her death, having recorded a library to use for such occasions. I know one of the long-term goals of the team working on this stuff is to convert the animated series into an almost live-action series. I love this idea, but this is where we start getting into the weeds as far as compensation and permission goes. I don't like the idea of this being used on a large scale. If they decide to just bring in a young CG DeForest Kelly as the main doctor in Strange New Worlds, for instance, that I would not agree with. Good observations. And then we also had Justin send his thoughts in. Justin said, I think if used in small doses and the right ways, and if the families of those who passed away are paid and paid fairly each time it's used and it's respectfully done, I can see it. But sadly, a lot of times these things are used for cash grabs and don't really add to the story, and families are not compensated properly. Studios get most of the money. I can agree with that as well. Very good observations. Thank you guys for contributing to the prime perspective. David says here, Starfleet still acknowledges confidentiality between doctor and patients sometimes. Because you remember there is an episode that exists where what is his name? Dr. Bashir just did a medical procedure on Worf's brother he didn't have the opportunity to consent, and they never told him what they did to him. That was altogether effed. Okay, but David also says, I doubt there would be a widespread mandatory screening doctor-patient problem. Justice says, Win Grace, I agree with you 1,000%. Small and special doses. I agree with both of you. And there is thank you. You guys are making the show a little more interesting by by responding to the prime perspective question of the week. I am going to rather enjoy hearing what you guys say and sharing it, especially when you guys don't have to do it in these smaller the show moves a little bit faster. It's not the fastest moving show, but it moves a little bit faster. And if you guys can give me your stuff ahead of time, then I can plan for it to be part of the show. We can spend a little bit more time on it like we did today. So I appreciate you guys for answering. Again, let's go here. So our question has been, should we use or should we get behind Star Trek using CGI to bring back legacy characters? First and foremost, for those who don't know, but I think everybody here knows what CGI is. It stands for computer generated imagery. It's a technique used to create digital content that looks real. The applications it's used in movies, TV shows, commercials, video games, all of these media and more to create amazing visuals that would be impossible to achieve with practical effects. Let me get I forgot I had notes back here too. Sometimes I forget where I have my stuff. I had notes on my whiteboard. Okay, so benefits of using these applications in CGI can save time and money by eliminating the need for practical effects and sets. It can also create things that don't exist in real life. So easy peasy. These are the ways that we are okay with things with CGI being used. It's basically used to make things more lifelike, more realistic, and we are seeing leaps and bounds being made in the technology that they use to create computer generated imagery. So it's not going to just be used in Star Trek, of course. CGI has been used across other franchises as well. Some of it to great effect, and some of it was So we've seen it be done in the MCU a lot. We saw some of the examples are right here. I thought the first time that we saw it that I can remember now, and I'm talking the de-aging and making the people young again, was Robert Downey Jr. when they did that for, gosh, was it a Civil War? Yeah, Civil War. And they de-aged Robert Downey Jr. I thought this was an actor who just happened to look like Robert Downey Jr. I didn't realize that what they had done was take him and soften the lines of his face and just recreate his younger face. Very, very, to me, that wasn't jarring at all, but it was also the first time I had seen it done. I saw it done again with put it like this. Every time that I can remember the MCU doing it, I think it was done pretty well. If you guys can remember an instance where it wasn't done well in the MCU, drop that in the comments because I can't think of one. When we start thinking of other CGI uses, Carrie Fisher in Rogue One, I thought it was done well. Of course, again, in Rogue One, Carrie Fisher being de-aged, that was kind of early in the de-aging game too. But I thought it was done well and I was fooled. Now, this is a movie that I have not seen, but the Robert De Niro film in The Irishman. This example was a little bit more in the uncanny valley of CGI due to the disconnect between the de-aging and the actor still moving like an older man. So they didn't use let me see. Grace gave me a whole different one. First CG dead character I remember is Laurence Olivier in Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. Wow. I don't remember it. We also know that we're going to get Harrison Ford. He's going to be de-aged for quite a bit. As a matter of fact, if the rumors are true, for 1/3 of Indiana Jones, this new Indiana Jones movie, Harrison Ford will be de-aged. And it remains to be seen whether it's going to be frighteningly good or just frightening. But one way or the other, we're going to find out whether or not they are ready to have a character like Harrison Ford, especially the fact that he's 80 years old, and they're going to de-age him. Hopefully, they're not using the regular Harrison Ford as he is today, and then just de-aging the face, because there is no way that that's going to fool us. So they will have to use a body double, de-age the face, and hopefully it's something that adds to the movie and doesn't take away. I'm not 100% sure if I'm super excited to see Indiana Jones, but if you plan on seeing it, let me know how much Harrison Ford's de-aging might take you out of that movie. But yeah. Uh-oh. So why use CGI to bring back legacy characters? Nostalgia and fan engagement. Bringing back legacy Trek characters using CGI can evoke a sense of, I guess, nostalgia amongst the fans. So we saw that happen this season. We saw it happen this season of Picard, rather. Let me go ahead and talk about that. Not the de-aging so much, even though they did it, they used it. It was weird for a second. It was weird, but they did it. So bringing back characters, this is where things, I guess, could be good. You're bringing back characters. You're getting that nostalgia feeling. This whole season of Picard proves that there is an audience for people who are particularly interested in seeing things done the way they've always been done. They're not particularly interested in seeing things move in a new or different direction. They feel like there is a place, and that place is home to them. And they are okay. We want to see the original TNG crew. We don't want to see any deviations, and while that is fun for some, it's not fun for all. But we'll get into the cons for this thing in just a moment. We're going to talk more about some of the pros, continuity, and storytelling opportunities. So if you use the CGI to bring back legacy characters, it enables the continuation of their stories, provides opportunity for character development and exploration. It also helps to explore unresolved arcs. And to me, that is the big thing. I would like to see it used to close out some arcs of characters who did not get an opportunity to have their final say in their series. And also fill in some gaps, expand upon existing narratives, enrich the universe without changing. You get what I'm saying? So we can use a few of the Spock, some flashbacks and scenes like that, where, okay, this is something that happened with Spock that we didn't see on screen, but it happened. So, things like that would probably excite me, and I would probably be okay with using it. I'm going to pick up David here. David says they already changed the timeline with Chris Pine in those movies. I don't think it would hurt if they brought back legacy characters with CGI or lookalikes. Okay. And I mean, I can agree with that. I can also say that at this point in Star Trek, there should be so many different alternate timelines, alternate universes, that what happens in one pocket on the movies or certain different series, what happens in one pocket could almost not affect another pocket. One of the things that I was thinking about, because of an episode that my grandson and I were watching this morning, for some reason, this is me going on a tangent already, Ashton really loves Star Trek TNG. Like, he enjoys the theme song. He loses his complete mind. He claps the same part of the song. Something about that theme speaks to him. And then he literally sits there and watches the show. So he's strange. I think the hereditary nature of some of these things, he is like, it's in his DNA to watch Star Trek. But anywho, so we were watching it, and we heard them on TNG talking about Mariposa Colony. And I was like, there's Mariposa again. Now, I didn't pay attention to it, of course, years ago, because Mariposa brought a whole new meaning after season 2 of Star Trek Picard, when we learned that Mariposa was the name of the clinic that Rios's wife worked at, turned into his wife, where she worked at, and they named a lot of their colony, a lot of things that they had their hands in, they named Mariposa. We saw it even pushing forward going into Picard season 3. We saw Mariposa again. So stuff like that. Could we bring back, of course, we wouldn't need to bring back Rios with CGI, but could we tell stories with Rios and his wife and continue their storylines so that we can see what happened when we left Rios way back in the 21st century? So yeah. Then we have, I don't know what point I was making, so yeah, I forgot. Anywho, legacy preservation. Now, legacy characters played a significant role in shaping the Star Trek franchise. So utilizing CGI can be seen as a way to honor their contributions. It also allows newer generations, for instance, my grandson, they are allowed to experience and appreciate the iconic characters. And those characters, of course, have become synonymous with Star Trek. I can see a lot of people will say, well, just have them watch the old stuff. Sometimes the old stuff, of course, to a what, almost 1-year-old, the old stuff looks fantastic. Turn Ashton to 10 years old, and with shows and movies that he will be seeing during his life, now TNG don't look that good anymore. So you do want to still keep these characters, some of the points of these characters alive to a younger generation. I can see why we want to do that. Also, to expand the fan base, we're seeing that also. We talked about it earlier today. We're seeing it with the Picard stuff, that not that the fan base is so expanded, it's reuniting. The fan base is now coming back together. We have become very, very divided. Not to say that we're still not divided, but we're seeing Picard do something that none of the other newer series was able to do. First and foremost, we saw them bring back some of the naysayers back into the fold. And it also seems that we're picking up some newbies too. That is what you want to do with these franchises. You don't want to just keep old ass me on the hook forever and ever and ever, because you've already got me. The idea for something to stay alive is to get new people and bring them in, tell stories in such a way that they are interested, but also don't let them forget what came before. And that is what I think Star Trek Picard has done an excellent job at. I also believe Strange New Worlds has done a fantastic job of honoring what came before and also putting a new spin on it. Now, we'll talk about, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I'll save it for the cons. But right now, I mean, yeah, let's bring we've got the fan base coming back together. Yay. Then we need to expand the fan base, bring in a newer, younger crowd, because that is the only way this stuff stays alive. In 40 years, when I'm gone, I do want people to still have Trek. I do. Also, what can be done with CGI is make use of the technological advancements. Now, we talked about the wall and using that as far as instead of going on location so many places, we can use the wall and introduce scene and without having to build these big elaborate sets. And like we've said before, it's been done into great fashion by The Mandalorian, by Discovery. So we've seen it done. We know it can be done. We can use that same idea to reintroduce these legacy characters. Again, the legacy character doesn't need to be the central part of the storyline. The legacy character probably more or less needs to just be there to... it's like we're going to insert these digital characters. You're going to have some anyway in these live action scenes. On occasion, it as when Grace and Justin both brought up in their comments, done in small doses for a very narrative reason, where this is not the story, but it is an element of the story. I think that'll be good. And then, of course, the last and but not least of the reasons why you should or could use CGI is to increase the viewership and the buzz. So if people hear enough, for instance, we could talk about The Mandalorian. When people started talking about Luke Skywalker, I hope I haven't spoiled anything for you guys, people who have not watched all the seasons of The Mandalorian. I just dropped a bombshell. Luke Skywalker is in that thing, baby. And let me tell you, he looked horrible. not in the, was it the third season? Not in the third season. He didn't look that bad. But in the second season, even though it was the dopest, I mean, one of the most excited I have been watching a Star Wars finale. Oh my gosh. It was so dope. And it was like, I am a huge fan of Rogue One. I'm a huge fan of Rogue One. So when you saw at the end of Rogue One, when Vader came through that hallway when he was coming through, trying to, what was he doing? Now I can't remember what he was trying to do. He was trying to get that message before it got sent to the rebellion, and he came through and he took out everybody in that corridor. It was like Luke did the exact same thing in the Mandalorian season 2 finale. He came through and it was just like shades of his dad, but it was Luke. It was Luke, young Luke. They had de-aged him, everything. He looked horrible, but it looked so fly. That right there alone increased your viewership, increased your buzz. Now, what we did this season with Picard, the de-aging, did not do that. It wasn't there to make buzz. You know what I'm saying? It was just there as, again, a narrative piece, a part of the story. It wasn't the story. So, and I can't think of them doing that, Star Trek doing that to increase viewership and buzz. But the opportunities are there, because look at how much we were talking about that, the Roddenberry archives, that clip that we saw of Spock going to retrieve the body of Kirk. Come on. And we're going to be talking about that briefly. Let me know if you guys, what you guys thought of that clip that was put out. And I forgot the name of the group. If somebody can remember what the name of the group, besides, I know they put it out at the Roddenberry archives, but I forgot the name of the people who cut that little mini trailer. David says, I enjoyed Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. There should be a sequel. I don't think I know what we're talking about. So yeah, those are my, okay. Those are my fours. Let's do this for bringing back CGI. So Star Trek Legacy characters who have already been brought back with CGI. We saw it this season in Picard again. He was de-aged right before our eyes in the Star Trek Picard season 3, and wasn't the best to me. To me, it was not the best. Riker was also de-aged. He looked a little bit better than Picard, I think. We saw Troy de-aged in season 3 of Picard. So all of them. We also saw Jack. He was de-aged a little bit in one of the episodes of Picard season 3. We also saw Q in season 2 of Star Trek Picard, which was, to me, done a whole lot better. Did we see You guys remind me if I'm wrong. In season 1 of Star Trek Picard, did we see them de-age Data a bit? Or was that a situation where, yes, Win Grace, thank you. Thank you. Now, that is who cut that trailer for with Spock that we're going to talk about right now. So remind me, if you guys can, if Data was brought back in season 1 de-aged, or is that a situation where he should have been de-aged and they didn't? And you can see that they should have used the CGI. And then Spock. So this is where the I guess it's Otoy or Otoy. That is who cut this clip that I was talking about here with Spock, a recent short video clip made the rounds showing Leonard Nimoy Spock returning to retrieve Kirk's remains from Viridian 3. It was done very well. It was not at all spooky or scary the way a lot of that whole uncanny valley place that we can get into with CGI. I think that this one was done so well. It is actually calling for so many people saying, hey, we need to just do a short track with this character, with this Spock, and talking more about what happened with Kirk's body coming off of Viridian 3. Okay, Win Gray says he guesses that they de-aged Brent Spiner in season 1 of Star Trek Picard, but it looked horrible. So I knew it was something. I couldn't, and I'm not gonna lie, I haven't gone back and watched season 1. I've watched season 2 of Picard again. I've not gone back and watched season 1. So eventually I will, because Trek by Numbers, we're eventually gonna get to some episodes that will cover season 1 of Picard, and I'll have to watch it. So yeah, so those are 3 examples, or many actually, because Picard season 3, we named many examples of them de-aging these characters, bringing them back via CGI to their younger selves, or resurrecting them, as in the case of Spock. I thought that was, I think they did a good job with the Spock thing. And that's what brought this conversation to the forefront. Many people, we might have thought about it a little bit with Picard when we saw the de-aging done there, but we realized the potential for telling these stories, how great the potential is, when we saw that thing from the Roddenberry archives with Spock. And then also all of the going on the bridge. There I've got 1,000,003 plans of being on that bridge of the Enterprise, or the gosh, well, I'm trying to think of the name of the ship, the Defiance, or you can get on the bridge. I want to be on them bridges with them. I want to do it. Let's see. Now we're gonna get into, just because we should doesn't, or just because we can doesn't mean we should. So why shouldn't Trek use CGI to bring back legacy characters? And my first one speaks to what Justin and Wingrace submitted. It'll be inauthentic representation. It could bring these characters back and never, again, we talk about uncanny valley. There will be a disconnect between the CGI version and the original character, which for fans who have been around long enough, this would be completely jarring to us. Let me grab Justin here. Justin said the clip was very well done and it connected the storyline. If they do small doses like that, it's fine. And Sky Captain is a cult classic. Y'all gonna make me find this Sky classic that you speak of. So also, you shouldn't bring them back, because sometimes it risks undermining the storytelling. Reviving legacy characters through CGI runs the risk of prioritizing fan service over organic storytelling. That has been my biggest complaint. Look, I understand. I too want to see uh, all of these legacy characters. And by the legacy characters, I mean, I want to see them doing the same shit that we saw them doing 30 years ago. But is that stymieing the storytelling? Now, it may divert attention from new and original narratives, potentially overshadowing the development of fresh characters and hindering their exploration of new ideas within the Star Trek universe. This is what I'm talking about. We want everything to remain the same. Not all of us, because I want to see Star Trek move in a bold new direction. With sprinkles of fan service here and there. But when we stop, and as much as I loved season 3 of Star Trek Picard, when we stop telling a story from season 1 and season 2 and pivot to telling an entirely different story to the detriment of the characters that had been introduced in seasons 1 and 2, I think we did a disservice to where Picard was going in his life and those new characters and what could have been with them. Rios, there was a myriad of stories that could still be told, but that could have been told around Rios. What's her name? Soji. We're sidelining these characters, and in fairness, the characters were not the problem. In fairness, there was some of the writing that was the problem. And yeah, I know how hard it would have been financially to bring back the TNG cast and also keep these characters on as well. But I also realized that we were going someplace new and different, and we stopped to do the same old, same old. Wingray says that's a great point. If they say, hey, let's put Spock in this, it's different than, oh, damn, we have this great story idea that needs Spock, but he's dead. Right. Exactly. We don't need to, if we say, hey, let's put Spock in this, could potentially just to be putting him there. And I don't know if I'm reading into your response right. If we need Spock, but he's dead, but this story would be better if we told it through this perspective. That's one thing. But let's just keep throwing him in because, hey, we want people to walk down the hallway and see Spock. That's not realistic. Wingray says Soji was pretty poorly fleshed out character, but the one thing that she deserves to have is a meeting with Data. Absolutely. Yeah. Didn't she in season 1? Did she meet Data? Did she meet a version of Data? She met that version of Data. Not this Data that we see in this. We start having to do all this. You're doing too much. Okay. But yeah. I don't know for sure if she met him because season 1 is a blur. Season 1 is an absolute blur to me. Okay. Why shouldn't we use CGI to bring back legacy characters? Number 3, the uncanny valley effect. We talked about that. Despite the advancements in CGI technology, uncanny valley will still persist. This phenomenon refers to the discomfort felt by viewers who are presented with this artificial or digitally recreated human-like character. So if the CGI is not executed flawlessly, i.e. Q in season 2 of Picard, I thought that was done very well. It can create a sense of artificiality and distract from the overall viewing experience, i.e., Luke Skywalker in season 2 of The Mandalorian, when he took the hood off and we found out it was Luke, oh, Lord have mercy. That was the stuff of nightmares. So yeah. Only Picard saw that version of Data in season 1. Thank you, Norman. And when Grace says, I seem to recall only Picard. So both of you guys are saying the same thing. When Grace says, I seem to recall only Picard met the original Data, but I may be wrong. Either way, she didn't meet real alive season 3 Data, who would probably enjoy meeting his daughter. So yeah, I get it. Number 4. This is big to me too, especially since we have seen them bring in actors who maybe not look exactly like the character that they are playing, but they are a reasonable facsimile, and they are honoring the nuances, honoring the character, the actor who portrayed the character. So you will be limiting opportunities for new talent. Focusing on bringing in CGI characters, the legacy CGI, is going to limit the opportunities for new talent to contribute to the Star Trek franchise. We keep doing the old, and the new suffers because of that. By relying on past characters, there's a risk of stagnation and a missed chance to introduce fresh and diverse perspectives that can help propel the franchise forward. We saw that with every iteration of Trek. The fandom got behind the previous cast and characters, and didn't want to see those characters go. So that the next set of characters, they didn't want to see those people. And now we've embraced them all. With the only group not being embraced just yet, I think, is Discovery. And I think that in 10 years, even Discovery is going to be like, I wonder what happened. Why did they do that? Why did people not like that show? I can almost guarantee. Now, there are certain story arcs that we don't discuss around here, that we don't talk about. But as far as some of the characters and some of the story, I think that the Discovery has been given a bad rap, and I think it would be a disservice to those characters to say we're going to sideline this show to bring back an all CGI show of the original series. I think that would be wrong. Yeah, this is true. Wait a minute, I gotta go back up. I want to pick all of these comments up because I caught the one that Christopher said, but I want to catch everybody's. Okay, so Justice said, I wanted Soji to return. They kind of hinted at a surrogate father and daughter angle between her and Picard. I really thought that was a good way to go and would have been great in season 3. And we have Christopher, who made just a strong point. Oh, wait a minute. Now, this is not the one. Now, wait just a minute. Maybe that's all we saw on screen. But that version of Data was on that planet for a long time, right? And then he says, the Data in season 3 is not Data. And he's not only Data. This is this is Data. This is Data with some amnesia. With a little bit of everybody else mixed in too. So this is not fully the Data. This was, we call them Data, and we are acknowledging that, okay, this is Data, but that ain't Data. I agree with Chris. When Grace says he was on the planet for a long time, but Soji only showed up to the planet at the end of the story. So Christopher says in 10 years, it'll be obvious why Discovery is no good, just like it's still obvious why the ghost candle is creepy. I don't agree with you. Now that one, I don't agree, but we can agree to disagree. We don't have to. We don't have to see eye to eye 100% of the time. And when Grace says, and when I say real, I don't know. I don't know what a real is. You said when I say real, I mean physical. Justice says, I thought what Rogue One did with Grand Moff Tarkin was perfect. And I forgot about that. Yes, the same movie that we saw the same movie that we saw the Leia stuff. Not Mindscape Data. Mindscape Data. Oh, please hit that like button. This Stream Elements reminds me to tell you guys to please hit the like button and subscribe. Data 2.0. Yes, I can see that. Data 2.0. Okay, number 5. Potential divergence from canon. Introducing CGI versions of legacy characters can lead to discrepancies or inconsistencies with established canon. So, let's say, for instance, we bring back Kirk, because this is also who is a big part of the conversation. We know that Terry Matalas wrote into Star Trek Picard season 3 that Kirk's body is at Daystrom Station and that it's on life support. He's still alive. He can be brought back. Now, do we bring back Kirk and put him in a place that would create a problem with established canon? Do we do that with Tasha Yar? We've already done it twice with Tasha Yar. So should we bring back a character who is deceased? This wasn't even a CGI. This was, let's put her ass someplace where she doesn't need to be. And now we start having to ask questions. Or, again, we can do this all day. Just bringing back, as Grace says, bring back DeForest Kelly, a CGI version of him, and put him in Strange New Worlds as the Doctor. None of that would be okay. It's going to undermine what has already come before. And then the other point that I make constantly, like literally all the time, is that we're relying too heavily on nostalgia. Like, nostalgia is good. It's good to think back. I think it's again, it can be a powerful tool, but relying too heavily on it cripples the franchise. Emphasizing past characters at the expense of new and innovative storytelling risks stagnation and limits the potential for fresh ideas and narratives to captivate new audiences. We're going to continue to watch Star Trek, and some of us hate watch certain series, and some of us love these series. But at the end of it all, we're Star Trek fans, and we are looking forward to seeing more Trek. But we need fresh meat. We need new people, or this thing is going to fall by the wayside. This thing that we all love. That ain't what we want. So the stories start getting stale when you keep bringing back the same characters. In the movies, again, whole different universe. I can see that. We can say this is on a whole different timeline. This is when, if somebody in this timeline zigged instead of zagged, then this is how we got to the movies. But the prime timeline of Star Trek, we need to let it go forward instead of constantly bringing it back to stuff that we remember from let us get a fresh take on an old story, maybe like Strange New Worlds. Okay, David asked the question, do you think Data would age himself intentionally to seem more human? And everybody responds, he did that in All Good Things. Yes. So you guys answered that one. All Good Things was in the last season of Picard. All Good Things was the end of Star Trek TNG. Yes, it was the finale. And also, Stream Elements is reminding me to say, join us on Discord. The link is in the description. It is the first pinned comment to this stream, to this chat. I need to go check on, I forgot. I need to go check on Twitter and see what's happening over there. No child left behind. No child left behind. Okay, I don't see. I don't know why that does that. Okay, ain't got nobody over there. Let's see. Somebody said, Stream Elements tells me to tell you guys follow me on Twitter at SnapAfter. I must have been talking about Twitter too much, and it said, oh, I got quiet. Sorry, guys. Now, how does CGI impact the authenticity of our characters? Positively, CGI can help expand a character's story beyond what was previously possible, including flashbacks and alternate timelines, which to me would be a good use. Flashbacks, alternate timelines, good use for bringing back CGI legacy characters. Negatively, CGI can sometimes be distracting or take away from the performance of the actor who originally portrayed the character. And then overall, CGI technology continues to advance, achieving complete authenticity in recreating human characters is not going to ever probably be possible. So, striking a balance between technological capabilities and maintaining the integrity and authenticity of the original character is crucial for a successful CGI portrayal. Some fans, I think many of us here, I'm going to grab that, Christopher. I see you here. Many of us agree that CGI could be used unnecessarily to bring back these legacy characters, and that the technique takes away from the impact of their original portrayal. The counterpoint is that others believe that CGI is a helpful tool that allows us to explore the full potential of legacy characters and expand their story in ways that were previously impossible. While there are valid arguments on both sides, the use of technology to bring back legacy characters is a creative decision that should be evaluated case by case. I'll grab Christopher here. Christopher says, let us define progress to mean that just because we can do a thing, it does not follow that we must do that thing. President Red Foreman, Star Trek 6. Man's knowledge exceeds his grasp. We are getting there. Now, let me see, where was I here? Oh, I got some other observations, and then I'm going to open the floor up for just conversation about other things. Whatsoever. I got to get my mind in the linear progression of of doing shows like this, because I will be doing something similar for Comic Palooza. So the benefits of CGI: expands the character story, saves time and money, pays homage to a classic portrayal. The drawbacks of CGI: potential for distraction, take away from an actor's performance, may not accurately represent original portrayal. The overall verdict for me: CGI is helpful when it's used appropriately. Keywords: when it's used appropriately. And it can also bring back beloved legacy characters in a way that adds to their story and pays tribute to their original portrayal. Some of the other things that I had here is the reception of CGI rendered legacy characters will vary amongst audiences. Some viewers may embrace the return of familiar characters through CGI, appreciating nostalgia and connection it brings, and then others will have reservations, particularly if the CGI portrayal does not meet their expectations or if it fails to capture the essence of the original character. Audience reception and perception can significantly, there's that word, significantly influence the success or failure of a CGI implementation. Also, there are ethical considerations, and this was brought up by both Justin and Wingrace. The use of CGI to bring back deceased actors or recreate younger versions of actors raises ethical questions. It involves using an actor's likeness and performance without their consent or involvement. This can raise concerns about posthumous exploitation or the potential for misrepresentation of an actor's legacy and artistic choices. So you bring back Leonard Nimoy's Spock and have him stripping. And this is not something that that Leonard Nimoy would be down with if he were alive. You have just dishonored this man's legacy, and you are using his form to do it. That would be terrible, And Christopher says the very definition of the Prime Directive, very definition. Justice says, I think we must be respectful of what came before and revisit it from time to time, but we must always be shooting for the stars and boldly going forward and respectfully exploring new worlds and new ideas. And David says, nice hat, Tasha. Thank you. Okay, awesome. We need to talk about financial constraints when we are talking about the CGI stuff, because implementing CGI to bring back legacy characters can be expensive at times, because if you're doing it right, we're going to need high quality CGI that's going to require skilled artists, advanced technology, substantial financial investment. For some productions, the cost may outweigh the benefits, especially if the return of the legacy character does not significantly impact the storyline or viewer engagement. The emotional connection. The authenticity of a character relies on the emotional connection it establishes with their audience. CGI can impact this connection by altering the facial expressions, gestures, the overall presence of the character. If these elements are not faithfully recreated, it can diminish an audience's ability to emotionally engage with the character, reducing their authenticity. Then we have the contextual integration. CGI characters must be seamlessly integrated into live action scenes or digital environments. If the integration is not executed flawlessly, it's going to create a noticeable disparity between the CGI character and the surrounding elements. So This lack of integration can disrupt the immersion and the authenticity of the character within the story's world. Audience perception. Audiences are accustomed to observing and interpreting the performances of human actors. The introduction of CGI characters can introduce an element of artificiality that impacts how the audience perceives the authenticity of the character. If the CGI is not convincing or does not align with the audience's expectations, it can hinder the character's authenticity. There was one other thing that I wanted to talk about. The inclusion of CGI rendered legacy characters should have a valid narrative justification. Simply bringing back characters for the sake of nostalgia may be seen as a gimmick, as some folks say, a cash grab, and could undermine the integrity of the storytelling. Then we think about the copyright and legal considerations, which was also brought up by Justin. The use of CGI to recreate characters may involve navigating complex copyright and legal issues, obtaining the necessary permissions and licenses to use an actor's likeness, intellectual property rights, or trademarks can be challenging and may require negotiation with various parties involved. So I think that while that is not probably a lot of these characters or a lot of these companies are like, that's not a hard thing because we've already got this relationship with the family or the estate of these characters that we have had access to over many years. For instance, I go back to the Star Wars universe where we have what is his name? James Earl Jones, who basically is like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to sell you guys my voice, where you guys can continue to use my voice in perpetuity for Darth Vader. You can use me as Darth Vader forever, but pay me today. So I don't know how much that was worth to James Earl Jones and his family, but that was a choice that he made. As far as I know, no such choice has been made in the Star Trek universe. Nobody has said, yeah, you can use me in perpetuity forever. You don't have to make any considerations with my family. And that is why so many people are saying, or specifically, I say so many people, and I mean Justin and Wingrace were both making the exact same point, with which I agree, that you don't, just because you can bring this character back, doesn't mean you should, to go with what Chris said. Though just because you can don't mean you should. And also, you need to compensate fairly the estate of a deceased actor, or the actor himself, if he is still with us, but he's unable to fulfill whatever it is that you need this character to do at this time. Lingray says, here's one I've been fumbling with in my brain. What would the ethics be of using this tech to recreate the lost episodes of Doctor Who? We know the actors were okay with that story, but so in the Doctor Who universe, we've got some episodes that were considered lost episodes. And then this is me just working around what you just said. And we also know that the actors who were involved with these projects were down. I think that as long as, this is my opinion, this is worth nothing, worth not much anyway. But if you already know that the family, or that the actor himself or herself was 100% down with this coming out, and you are prepared to compensate the family as if that actor were himself or herself playing that role, because you don't get to just bring this person back and in animated form or computer generated form and not compensate the estate. Just like maybe not, and then we have to, maybe we'll discuss this a little bit deeper. Should they be paid the way a live actor or actress would be, or should there be a special consideration for a deceased character? How much you should compensate the family for using the likeness of a deceased actor? What would that be worth to the family? And I'm guessing that there has to be some precedent for it, depending on how you look at it. Now, we're talking different from just having a cameo kind of appearance. We're talking about this CGI character kind of carrying an episode, carrying a show. So we have a precedent that was set with Star Wars, and we've also seen it happen with Fast and Furious. We've seen it happen with so those are precedents where we've seen it happen with smaller roles. Then you would have to multiply probably for the larger role that these characters might be playing in the Doctor Who universe. Oh gosh. So yeah, it is something to consider, especially if, and then imagine how moving forward contracts will have to be reworked and rewritten. We're seeing now how streaming has affected the way writers and screenwriters and actors and directors and people who are working on movie sets. Streaming has affected how they need to be compensated. And gosh, I am just appalled at how long this is taking, because okay, the writers have been on strike, and it hasn't been for a crazy long time, but it's long enough that they should, and by they I mean Hollywood, I mean the execs, the studios, they should start to realize at this point nothing is happening without these writers. Everything grinds to a halt, and you had to know that coming into this stage of where we are with streaming, that something was going to have to give. We saw the writing on the wall with the shit that was going on with Disney and Black Widow, that movie, the beef they had for a moment there with Scarlett Johansson. The way these hybrid kind of releases that were happening with films during the pandemic and the such, we knew that there was going to have to be some kind of I guess rubber has to eventually meet the road. Justin says, I'm sure James Earl Jones got paid well, and he has the power to get that money. But does every actor or actress or family have that same pull to get paid well? I say most don't. Well, that's what I mean. And in a contract moving forward, now we know that the characters or the actors who are already deceased, they're going to have to come up with an entirely different language of what can happen with their the likeness of these characters, right? But moving forward, that needs to be part of any standard contract. Would you consent to this character being used in your likeness and or voice or whatever being used in future installments of this franchise? And you can say yes, and if I say yes, it's worth this much to me or to my estate. And if I say no, That means don't try to sneak, don't try to go through the back door. You better you better hire somebody else to be that person completely, because I can't do it, or you can't use me. Period. And Wingray says this seems like it should still fall under the precedent set back in by Back to the Future 2, stealing Crispin Glover's likeness. And yes, that also you would think that it would have addressed, let's see, you would think that it would have addressed the potentiality for where we are right now. But I think the language needs to be extremely clear now, because we're seeing it happen. We're seeing people literally be brought back to life. And there has to be some provisions for the estate of that actor, actress, whomever. Yeah. What else we got, y'all, for these CGI shits? Because honestly, I thought it was, initially, when you're not giving it a deep thought, it's like, yeah, that was cool seeing so and so or such and such. Then when you start really thinking of all of every potentiality, and you're like, damn, wait a minute. Because if it were me, then I would want this to happen. Or if it were me, I'd want that to happen. Putting this shit, you're using my likeness, you're using my voice, you're doing all of this, and then you're gonna put me on streaming. So you're making money here, you're making money at the movies, you're making money, all of this. I should be getting royalties off of all of this stuff. There are a lot of things to think about. And when you're just watching it, when you're just consuming it, it doesn't seem like that much. But Lord, if it were me and I were the person who's like this was being used, I'd have some questions. I would have some questions. Wingray says, how long until dead celebrities become spokespeople for like Bang energy drink or something? How about this? I just listened to, and it made me think about what we're talking about today when I heard this commercial. And I can't remember what it was a commercial for, but it was Whitney Houston. I want to dance with somebody. And I was like thinking to myself, I wonder if she were alive, would she allow her song to be used in this commercial? And yeah, so how long will it be before you're right? You got me being the spokesperson for something that I don't believe in at all. Oh, Vincent Price and Tidy Bowl. Oh, I don't even remember that. Did they do Tidy Bowl with him? You got to be kidding me. Yeah, but I was thinking about that when I saw that commercial or heard it or whatever, however that happened. I was like, I wonder if she would have consented. Of course, there is an estate, and they may be allowing it, but like, gosh, oh, they did. Crazy. I'm gonna have to look that one up. Um, yeah, I got to look it up, and I can't spell Vincent. I gotta look to see if I remember. For 55, uh, really do. Uh, I see it now. I see the image. I'm wondering if there was some agreement made. With whom though? But any old who. He is literally in the toilet. No, I don't think. I don't think as a family, I don't think I would have allowed that. You're not going to put my loved one in the toilet. Thank you. No, thank you. I don't care how much it's worth. And then when Grace says, or a movie comes out where someone dies and goes to hell and meets a bunch of dead celebrities. That would be so fucking terrible. That would be terrible because, yeah, that would be terrible. So my question would be, how are we going to, no provisions were made to that family, to the Vincent Price family. That's so effing sad. Let's all write in our wills. You're not going to make a celebrity. You're not going to make me no celebrity and not look out for my family. So I don't want to when I cross over to the great unknown, I do not want anybody to find these doggone YouTube videos, be like, let's make her a star. No. Mm-mm. Not unless Ashton Monte Brown will never have to work a day in his life. Then maybe. Okay. But other than that, no. Justice says a lot of these questions and how they are answered will also affect our own ownership of our own likeness. And that's what I was just getting at, Justin. Yes, because right now today, people might say, oh, there's not a lot of value in my Tasha Pierce. But then in 50 years, somebody might find the videos and be like, let's make this bitch, let's make her a star. Yay. And now look at me. I'm a star. And my family is not getting compensated at all. That wouldn't be fair at all. So what else? Y'all got anything else y'all want to talk about? Star Trek? Let's see what David got here. David says actors have been trying to get legislative protection for decades before it was as easy as it is now. Well, they need to get on it, doggone it, because we don't want another situation like what you were saying with Vincent Price. And when you think of some of the celebrities who we've lost after Vincent Price, who weren't protected, and you would think that any celebrity attorneys or entertainment law, is that where we're going? Anybody in that field worth their salt, that would be one of the first things that they try to get covered after a person achieves a certain amount of celebrity. It's like, we got to look out for you. This, with you having this much celebrity, we have to make sure that you guys have an insurance policy saying that if something happens to me here, there, you don't screw me and my family. Marilyn Monroe probably, yes, used and misused, yes. David said they had Vincent on a paddle board in the bowl. When Grace says we need to take into account current actors too. If they don't want to say a certain line, can they just make a CG model for that one scene? I was reading something, and this is not the same, but it is similar, where there was some girls from America's Next Top Model, and I forgot what season it was, but the young ladies were Christians, and one of the shoots that that Tyra Banks' crew wanted them to do was to shoot some nude shots, and the young ladies were like, "No, it's against it's against our principles to shoot in the nude." And it was just a bunch of arguing back and forth, or a bunch of trying to persuade them. And it was like, and finally, the Tyra show, the representatives were like, "We can bandage you where it will only look like you are nude. You won't really be nude. You'll have flesh colored bandages and flesh covered like undies on." And those young ladies had the presence of mind to be like, "No, because at some point you guys can alter those photos and it will look like we are nude." And the Tyra Banks, her people were like, "Oh, so you're more worried about what things look like. You guys are not particularly worried about the fact that you would be nude. You would just be worried about what other people think. You don't want the perception of that, because if I'm laying nude or with nude colored underwear on and somebody CGs and uh me in the nude over this and then puts this out as if I'm nude, guess what? They're getting paid like I was nude, first and foremost. And then secondly, the whole world is not going to say, "Oh, those are those computer generated pictures." They're going to believe it's nude too. You don't want to put yourself and create a situation where even the perception of of going against your principles, whatever your principles are. Chris says you have a legal right to your likeness while you are alive, being the key, being the key phrase there. And Norman said that's actually a plot point in BoJack Horseman. I don't think I've ever watched BoJack Horseman. Uh, Justice says, "You're right, David, because I know there are a lot of cases of people taking pictures and posting them, and then those pictures being used by others for personal gain, and people going to court and having no ownership." Um, David said, "So when you're famous, if you die, does your image become public domain? It should not. But I guess if you don't make any provisions for that, then it could. Or is it after a certain amount of time? Or um, again, I'm not a specialist or uh, uh, expert on these things. So this everything that I've just said is really just my opinion. But that whole Tyra Banks thing, I didn't just make that up. That was for real. Hey there, Reinhardt. What's going on, sir? So yeah. Oh, and StreamYard is telling me, Stream Elements is telling me to tell y'all support the show, become a member, hit the join button, pick a tier, and support the show if you can. Also, oh, I guess that's not happening anymore. Also, if you guys want to send me a one-time donation so that I can buy dinner or something nice without having to wait till it builds up to $100, there is a very good way for you to buy me lunch, buy me dinner at paypal.me/snapafter. paypal.me/snapafter. And that will feed me. Oh gosh. Me and my grandson, we were eating pancakes this morning. And then, I went in the kitchen and made some pancakes. And this was his first time. I gave him a couple of bites, and oh my goodness, the reaction. Oh gosh. Anywho, let me go back to my um Justice says you have to copyright and so much other legal stuff. Your likeness, yes, you should have yourself protected in the public eye. Norman said, for all this discussion, let's point out modern Trek is already doing it. Prodigy's episode Kobayashi had Odo and Scotty, for example. We are not sure, however, whether or not they reached out to the family. That's A, and the use of Prodigy or Odo and Scotty and Spock, for that matter, in the episode, and Uhura, for that matter. They had a lot of legacy characters that are no longer with us. I think Nichelle Nichols was still with us when that came out, right? You guys gotta let me know. But I think the use of those characters, I think it was done tastefully. I don't think that it was it didn't breach going into, and hopefully, let's hope that they compensated, especially by these characters being part of the Star Trek family for so long, that they were compensated for using their likeness. I hope so. Larry, looked like Larry is at work. He said everybody's coming to see Fast 10. I hope they enjoy it. I heard that Jason Momoa was probably the draw for that movie, but I'm not a fast fan where I'm like, I gotta go. And that's another one that I forgot to mention when we were talking about people's likeness being used. We saw Paul Walker be brought back to life for some of the Fast movies. So there's that. Justice says people should really do what The Rock did. He owns the Rock trademark and likeness. Yeah, they need to. And I'm seeing a lot of people, or a lot of celebrities, are not just doing it, but they're doing it for their children as well. Beyonce, her daughter Blue Ivy, that's already trademarked. Kim Kardashian, her daughter Northwest, that's already trademarked. So yeah, so some of them are thinking on their toes now, but this is something we still have to look at, those people who are kind of grandfathered into all of the way the world is running now. Now Chris says you don't need to copyright your own likeness, but you do need to restrict how your likeness can be used when you're no longer around, right? Because if you're still alive and people can say, oh, I mean, you have to ask for my permission, right? But when you're gone, will your family have to fight a company against using your likeness? Wingray said, Discovery also used Nimoy. And then there's the question, while you're alive, same thing I asked. Wingray says, she was with us when the episode came out, but not doing well, right? I can remember there was so much going on with Nichelle Nichols towards the end. Chris says, you can't copyright your own likeness even when dead. Copyright protects artistic expression only. You could protect a painting of yourself, but you can't protect yourself alone. So David says, good to know. Christopher also says, your right to protect your own likeness while you're alive is considered an inherent personal right, not a copyright. Yeah. Okay, so Justice says, you don't have absolute ownership of your name or likeness. There is private and privacy rights, but not much on the law books. As far as like me. Now, there is a difference between me and other Tasha Pierces, that there are other Tasha Pierces out there. And I couldn't trademark Tasha Pierce. I couldn't, because there are other people named Tasha Pierce. If I made a brand out of Tasha Pierce, I could trademark the brand, but that I couldn't tell these other people that you can't use the name Tasha Pierce. I felt some type of way, and this is not when Beyonce, when she came out with that CD, I Am Sasha Fierce. Do you know how long I had been calling myself Sasha Fierce before Beyonce came out with Sasha Fierce? So that's, and I'm pretty sure now I wouldn't be able to call myself Sasha Fierce if I wanted to, because Beyonce got that. She got it locked up. Larry says, Tasha, that's exactly why I'm gonna see it. Of course, I get to see it for free, but Jason Momoa been watching that man Stargate Atlantis, big fan. Okay. But yeah, that's what I've heard. Oh, make sure you've hit the like button, subscribed, join us on Discord. Link is in the pinned comment of this chat. So yeah, the whole Sasha Fierce thing, like I said, that was crazy, because my name is really Tasha Pierce. You know what I'm saying? Who knew that Beyonce was just gonna pull Sasha Fierce out of her rump and decide that's what she gonna call her alter ego? It was amazing to me. Ooh, yeah. So it's about dinner time for Sasha Fierce. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to go and find me something to eat. First and foremost, I'm gonna go in here and look at my grandson, look at his face, because I'm gonna tell you, if I want to confuse my grandson, all I gotta do is put on a face full of makeup and throw on a wig. He like, who are you and what did you do with my grandmama? Oh no, it's not like a argument. I don't look at it. I hope Chris is not looking at it that way either. These are discussions, and I think this discussions and arguments sometimes are confused with one another. That, like, we're going to discuss things, and sometimes we're going to look at things differently. I don't know if Chris or if Justin, either of you are in law, where this is like your profession, where I can't have a different opinion because you are an expert on this. But if you are, if anything, if you're not completely an expert on it, then it's up for discussion, right? I think. I hope. Say Chris just finished Enterprise, so he might be a little salty. Look, man, I still love Enterprise. I know that we're talking about, speaking about disagreeing, I loved Enterprise and I love Discovery. And people will argue, argue with me, come at me. I don't care what you think. I enjoyed both. The series that I didn't enjoy initially, that I'm finding myself enjoying a whole heck of a lot more now, is Voyager. I'm enjoying Voyager a whole heck of a lot more now. See, Chris says I'm an IP lawyer, but I specialize in a different area of IP, so I know only a little bit about copyright. If you know a little bit, you know a little bit more than me. Oh gosh, shucks. That's why I say, I don't know. Sometimes we're just having conversations. Now, when you start saying, hey, I know specifically that this, and this, and shit, David says, Enterprise is his favorite, and I say Enterprise is fantastic. I've always loved it. And I love it was like a bug or something. The fuck was that? Uh uh I've always loved what is his name? Scott Bakula. Yes, I love him. Just love him by the pound. Give him to me by the pound. So yeah, and I also, Connor Trenier and Dominique Keaton, love them. Love them, love them. Aren't you laughing at me, Christopher? I hope you're laughing with me, not at me. Laugh with me. So yeah, now Wingray says Enterprise has some of my favorite characters and the ship design. And Justice says, I'm not a lawyer, but I work in business dealing on contract languages. It's not always cut and dry. I know that because I've been duped enough times in my life to know that you got to read the fine print, Dooley. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Because, yeah, they will get you. They get you. They screw you. Um, so you said there's no beam me up. It's counter Star Trek with milestone storylines. And look, that was one of the things that people complained about so much back in the day. It's like, they don't want to be Star Trek. It's still Star Trek. It's just Star Trek before the Federation. It's in this infancy Starfleet. So I love my favorite is Deep Space Nine. But I love Trek in most iterations. The only Star Trek that I have not watched at all is the animated series. And of course, I'm going to get into that because Trek by Numbers is eventually I'm going to pick a number that corresponds with the animated series, and I'm going to have to watch those. That's just a way for me to get more Star Trek under my belt. Say same, and of course the rules can always be modified by contract. And that's why I say, yeah, because we can be sitting and saying one thing, and then you slide this piece of paper and it say something entirely different. And now I put my name on this piece of paper, and you got me. I hate that. Wingray says the animated series has some goofy stuff, but it's worth a watch. And that's what, yep, I'm gonna get in one episode at a time in Trek by Numbers. Speaking of Trek by Numbers, the next one is Devil's Due. That's like one of my guilty pleasure TNG episodes. So that one will be coming out. I'll put that one out Tuesday morning. There was a lot of some people gonna hate me for my take on Devil's Due, but I call it like I see it, baby. I just call it like I see it. I did not invent the game. All I'm doing is playing. Yeah, talking about some fine print. Yeah, read the fine print, Dooley. I have been Dooley a million times. Let me tell you, in my short period of time of being on this earth, which is some people, depending on who you ask, 50 years is but a blip, and I have been taken to the bank a few times because of not reading completely through. When Grace said Ardra was on my list of characters who could appear again in Trek. She needs to, because she kind of made a promise that she was going to be back. but then we never saw her again. And yeah, I would have liked to have seen her come back as well. That was a wild episode to me. Oh gosh. Well, it's about dinner time, guys. Okay. Yep, it's about dinner time. So remember that if you've got any comments, anything that we haven't discussed or that we have discussed, and you want to discuss a little further, you want to talk about a little bit more, then that is our hotline, the subspace relay. When I get tongue tied, Lord, the subspace relays. The number is 832-422-6756. Love to hear your opinions. If you come up with something during the week, that is one way of contacting me. Another way to contact is through the transmission line, which is good old email, trekprimeperspective@gmail.com. I would love, love, love to hear from you. Remember also, I'm going to be at Comic Palooza on Saturday. Oh, I was about to mess up. I'll be at Comic Palooza on Saturday morning from 10:30 to 11:30 doing a panel on Star Trek character evolution, a journey through time. I'll be joined by my good friends, Clarence and John. Both of them are from Discussing Trek. So if you have not yet done so, I will say give them a subscribe as well. Also, we talked about Star Trek Resurgence, and that there will be some people doing live gameplay. Clarence is considering doing that, so that will be another reason to follow him on YouTube, because he as well may be showing you guys the gameplay that I hear is going to be a pretty exciting thing. Thank you for telling me to enjoy my dinner. I'm gonna try. Thank you, Justin. Thanks. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Chris, Wengrace, Norman, Thomas, Clarence for dropping in for a moment, Larry for dropping in for a moment. Thank you guys for all being here, and I will see you in the next one. Live long and prosper. I want y'all to see me do the live long and prosper. Peace.